Yo, YouTube, we're back. UFC 310. It's been a long time. Haven't done a in-depth breakdown video for an event past couple weeks. Last week was UFC Macau. Not a lot of people were interested in that. It started at 3 in the morning Eastern Time. But here we are. We're back for UFC 310. This card is super stacked. I'm excited to break down all the fights in depth. A minute or two on each fight. Nothing crazy. But drop a comment. We can talk more about it in the comments if this in-depth breakdown isn't long enough. The last 5 events, I've gone 44 out of 60. That's a 73.3% win rate through 5 events. We like that. Hopefully do a little better here. But we're not complaining with that. We can live with that all day. And the first fight for UFC 310 is Alex Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. And in this one, I'm going average confidence, Alex Pantoja here to get the job done. This is a win-win situation for the UFC, no matter who wins. They're bringing over Kai Asakura from Rizin. He's the big star over there. If he wins over here, it'll refresh the 125-pound division, which they do need because Alex Pantoja has already taken out most of those guys, and some of them even twice. They really need a new guy at 125, but he doesn't have the same experience that Pantoja has. Over there in Rizin, you don't fight in an octagon, you fight in a boxing ring, and no one really goes for takedowns. It's a different level of MMA. It's more of striking MMA more than takedowns with jiu-jitsu or anything. And I like Pantoja a lot here. He's been mauling everybody in the UFC. He's very good on the ground. He has good jiu-jitsu. I feel like he's going to eventually get a takedown on Kai Asakura and probably be a boring decision win, a lot of control time. Kai Asakura does have a very good knee up the middle. It looks like that's how he hurts all of his opponents. Very dynamic striker. But Pantoja isn't going to lose to a one-trick pony. I truly believe Kai Asakura's best chance is throwing these knees up the middle to the body. I don't think that's going to work here. If anything, I think that'll get him taken down very easily. I like Alex Pantoja a lot. In this next fight, we have Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Garry, and I'm excited to break this one down as well. I like Garry here a lot. High confidence pick here for Garry. Very dynamic striker, better striker. There's a small clip going around of them sparring a couple years ago. There was a lot of training partners in the background, also in the way, but they were in the pocket. Rakhmonov couldn't touch him. It was about a 30-second video. Garry was piecing him up. They will be in the big octagon for this match, and I think that only helps Garry even a little bit more. He's got more room to maneuver, speed advantage, way better striking, just crisp technical. And for Rakhmonov, he's really going to have to initiate the grappling in this one if he wants to have any success. He might hold the power advantage, but I don't even think so. I think Garry's crisp, sharp shots find the spot. He doesn't always knock everybody out, but he does hit you in spots that put you out at equilibrium, right on the chin. I like Garry a lot here. Way better striker. These guys know each other very well. They trained at Killcliff FC in Florida, I'm pretty sure, for a few years. They've got a lot of rounds with each other. Word is Rakhmonov has tapped him out quite a few times, but those could have been during jiu-jitsu classes and things like that. I believe this fight stays on the feet. I think both guys are going to want to knock each other out, and I got to favor Garry here from what I've seen through the sparring footage. Also, Garry has fought through adversity many times. Never forget that fight against Shavkat, where he did get dropped. Next round came back and put it on him. Knocked out Shavkat in that fight. Shavkat did just lose. It's not really the best win, but since then he's rattled off a lot of good wins over good UFC talent. Daniel Rodriguez, Neil Magny, that was a shutout. And his last couple fights. But I like Garry here, huge underdog. In this next one, we have Ciryl Gane versus Alexander Volkov 2. This is a rematch. They fought before in 2020 or 2021, and that was a shutout fight by Ciryl. Unanimous decision, 5-round fight. I believe the same thing's going to happen in this one. I think Ciryl is going to piece him up for about 3 rounds. More technical guy. I don't think there will be a knockout in this fight. Not really too much to break down on it because they fought before, but Ciryl lost 1 fight since then to Jon Jones. He's won a lot of fights as well. He's very swift, fast. His deficiency is obviously the ground, but Volkov is way too tall to go for takedowns on anyone. Unless he can find a trip or something. I don't think he will, though. I think the moment was too big for Ciryl against Jon Jones, and that's the only thing that happened in that fight. I think he rebounds very well here. And I like Alex Volkov a lot. This sucks. Ciryl gains about a minus 300 favorite, I believe, for good cause. It's a rematch. It was a shutout the first time. I can only go with that again. This next one, we have Bryce Mitchell versus Kron Gracie. This is another one, no-brainer here. Bryce Mitchell, 6-1 favorite over a jiu-jitsu player. Kron Gracie is not a striker. He'll go for a takedown very quick in this fight. He probably won't get it. If he does, Bryce Mitchell might be able to scramble out of it at least. Bryce Mitchell is not going to go for a takedown in this fight because of the threat of submission. Kron Gracie is a part of the best jiu-jitsu family ever in the Gracies. They're the ones that started the UFC. Kron Gracie has 5 wins, all by submission, no surprise. Bryce Mitchell has been submitted twice. One of them was more club and sub. He was hurt by Tapuria and then just gave up the sub. He was just getting rattled around that fight. He was looking for a way out. I don't like that. And then he got submitted before by Brad Katona years ago in a rear naked choke. I think he's got enough tools in the toolbox for this one to watch out for a few sneaky submissions, protect his neck, keep the fight on the feet, and ultimately win a decision. I think this is a Bryce Mitchell 3-round decision against the butt-scooting jiu-jitsu player who can't strike at all. All respect to the Gracies, but this guy, Kron Gracie's got to go after this one. He's lost his last 2 fights in the UFC, and they were some of the most boring fights in UFC history. Coffee break. But this is a really good card. So many big names on it. A lot of ranked fighters. A lot of people who have fought for the belt before or maybe still will. In this next one, we have Dominick Reyes, former title challenger, versus Anthony Smith, former title challenger. Both of Jon Jones' sons fighting each other. And gosh, both these guys have been on such bad runs. Anthony Smith, he's a commentator some days. Some days he takes fights on a week notice and gets in the octagon and looks like complete crap. Anthony Smith, I can never get a read on. He's so inconsistent. Some days he shows up and actually fights, and other days he just gets in the ring and doesn't fight. Like against Roman Dolidze, I'll never forget that one. But for Dominick Reyes, he was on a very bad skid, getting knocked out. Ever since the Jon Jones fight, he went on a bad run. I believe he lost 4 in a row, 3 by knockout. Just had a great bounce back, though. He just had a first-round knockout to get out of that funk. I think his mental is going to be back. I believe he has better skills than Anthony Smith and always has. Both these guys are a bit chinny. Either one of them could get knocked out. I think there's a patient approach here by both fighters. I think Dominick Reyes finds the chin eventually. Definitely the better striker, 1,000%. Anthony Smith probably better on the floor. But lately, Anthony Smith hasn't been throwing the cardio out there to go for these takedowns. Excuse me. I believe Anthony Smith is more at the end. Both these guys taking so much damage in their career. Would not be surprised to see either one of them retire with a loss here. But I feel like it would, if I had to pick, Anthony Smith would be more likely to retire with a loss. And for that reason, I have to go Dom Reyes here. Average confidence. Okay. So next we have Nate Landwehr versus Dooho Choi. This is a clash of styles right here. Nate the Train is A heavy grappler with decent striking, but he just strikes to use the grappling and is very good on the mat. For Dooho Choi, he's known from the Cub Swanson fight back in 2016, fight of the year, one of the best fights ever. He lost that fight, took some time off, a couple years, lost a couple more fights after that as well. Had a draw, I believe, against Kyle Nelson. Then he just won his last fight, first round knockout over Bill Algeo, super impressive. I have high respect for Bill. And that was a great win by Dooho Choi. Striking looked amazing. He looked reinvented. He looked great out there. I believe he can stuff a few takedowns here, have the better cardio, and beat Nate the Train Landwehr, possibly by finish, but I would pick decision. Nate is pretty tough. I think if he wins any rounds, it's probably going to be like the third round if Dooho Choi does gas out a little bit. But what I seen out of Dooho Choi's last fight against Algeo, the striking was there. Confidence was super high. He picked the shots wisely. I think he'll do the same here. High confidence, Dooho Choi. In this next one, we have Vicente Luque versus Themba Gorimbo. In step, Themba Gorimbo on short notice here for Nick Diaz. That's a whole nother story. But let's start with Vicente Luque here. He's the one who's been in a training camp. Vicente is so inconsistent. Great career up until the last couple matches. Win-lose kind of guy. Against an up-and-comer, a really hungry guy in Gorimbo. Gorimbo is not great, but he is good at everything. He's got decent striking. Good on the mat. I'm not sure how much he's going to want to go to the mat with Vicente because of the jiu-jitsu threat. But I think he'll look to battle this one out on the feet. I'm not sure who's going to have the speed advantage. I kind of think Vicente. The thing that throws me off about Vicente is it was about a year or two ago. He came out and got neurological brain testing done. Obviously, to see how his brain was doing, to see if he had CTE, anything along those lines. I don't like that. He knows he's towards the end. I know I've been waiting for him to rip the gloves off at the end of any of these fights. He could win this fight and keep the career going. There's a very easy path for him to win this fight if he gets the grappling going. And if he has the speed in the striking department. But I think Themba's a little more hungry here. I believe he holds the power. I'm kind of riding with the power against that brain of Vicente. I think Themba Gorimbo here could possibly chin him and get a round 2 knockout. This next fight, this is another one I like a lot. Two very similar guys. It is Movsar Evolev versus Aljamain Sterling. In this one, I'm going high confidence. Movsar Evolev here to get the job done. No one goes for takedowns on Aljo because he's a wrestler. And Movsar is undefeated for a reason. He's had close fights. He had that one with Diego Lopez that got a little hairy. But even in such bad positions there, he found his way out of the submission and won that fight. For Aljamain, he's maybe reinvented now that he's at 145. But in a battle of grapplers here, I'm going to take the EV. I'm trusting it. I trust the Russian in this one. He's impressed me more with the grappling. His control is very heavy. Some guys with the O, you trust the O, man. I like the record for Evolev here. I believe he will win this fight wherever, even if it stays on the feet. I don't think Sterling's striking is good at all. You've seen that against O'Malley. He took that straight right and got knocked out cold. And when he took that straight right, he seen the punch coming, if you watch it in slow motion, and closed his eyes as it was coming like this, and then ultimately got his lights put out. But I think Evolev has good striking. It's not super impressive. It's obviously not the number one part to his game, but I think he's definitely a better overall fighter here. Super high confidence for Movsar Evloev. In this next one, this is lock of the night. Bryan Battle versus Randy Brown. This is the easiest pick on the card. This is the free spot on the bingo board. Bryan Battle, super high confidence. Break this one down. Randy Brown has been knocked out a few times in his career. He got roughed up real bad by Jack Della Maddalena and then got subbed, but that got there because he was getting hurt on the feet. He was looking for a way out. They didn't want to get knocked out, took the sub instead. But before that, he's been knocked out a few times. Vicente Luque, I believe Nico Price way back when. But Randy Brown is a point fighter, technical, fast, in and out. He doesn't get in the brawling moments. When he does, flashback to the Chaos Williams fight a few years ago. They traded a few in the pocket. Randy Brown got dropped 2 or 3 times in that fight and somehow still won. That was weird judging. He did have good moments as well. But Bryan Battle, on the other hand, super tough, doesn't get knocked out, definitely holds the power advantage, super high volume. He's not going to fight a point fight. Really good matchup here. Bryan Battle just fought Kevin Jousset, which was a very similar style to Randy Brown. Swift, in and out, technical. They're winning the fight if they fight their fight. Bryan Battle is not a bad word. I know he's very tough. He's super dog, man. He's not going to fight like a, he's going to bring this fight to Randy Brown. I really think he's going to put his lights out. Super high confidence here. He's not going to fight a technical battle. Like, he brought it to Jousset so bad, and he was taking a few in the pocket, but he knew he was the tougher guy. He could tell who the shots were hurting. His shots were hurting Jousset, making him off balance. Battle wasn't getting phased by the big ones he was taking. I know Randy Brown can't take these shots. I love Bryan Battle so much here. Super high confidence, lock of the card. In this next fight, we have Chris Weidman versus Eryk Anders. I'm not going to break this one down too much. This was supposed to happen a couple weeks ago at Madison Square Garden. I really like Eryk Anders here. Better overall. Another clash of styles. Two grapplers with not great striking. I believe Eryk Anders has the better striking, if I had to pick one. Also a little heavier in the control against the cage. I think he can hold Weidman there. Maybe hurt him with some knees to the knee. Maybe some body shots. Chris Weidman, I don't see him getting a takedown here. Eryk Anders is still improving. Believe it or not, despite the record or the age, Eryk Anders is doing grappling matches in between fights, and I like that a lot. I know Chris Weidman's not doing that. He runs a gym. He's old. He doesn't have good knees. I like Eryk Anders here. Very good odds as well. We haven't talked about odds a lot this card, but we're just breaking them down. I'll have some shorts posted maybe. In this next fight, we have Cody Durden versus Joshua Van. Man, these are such great fights. I feel like I have super high confidence throughout the whole card. And in this one, I really like Joshua Van so much. Very good odds. I think he's about a 180 favorite over Cody Durden. He was super tough. We usually pick Cody Durden in a lot of the breakdowns. Very good wrestler. Striking, very subpar. Uses the striking to work the grappling. I like Joshua Van. Very complete fighter on the floor, on the feet. He's 100% better than Cody Durden on the feet. Very good striking. He was in such a good scrap with Charles Johnson before he took the wrong strike and got put out. But we think very highly of Charles Johnson on this channel. And why not so? He's on an incredible run. He just had another great performance recently. But in this one, I'm going with the better overall striker. Way faster, bigger fighter, very good grappling. He will not get held down on his back. If he gets taken down, I know I can see the scramble, and I trust the cardio out of Josh Van way more than Cody Durden. Cody Durden does have good gas, but it's all grappling. It's not going to work in this fight. He's going to be getting hurt throughout the fight. Josh Van, very good combos. He's also good with the kickboxing as well. It's not just boxing combos. I really like Joshua Van here a lot. And this next one, this is a very hard one to predict, actually. Michael Chiesa versus Max Griffin. Michael Chiesa is coming off a win over Tony Ferguson. Take that with a grain of salt. Tony's lost 8 fights in a row or something. So before that, Chiesa has not done well. Lost to Kevin Holland. Didn't like that. And for Max Griffin, he's another one here. His last win was over Jeremiah Wells. Split decision. Weird fight. Jeremiah broke his hand in the first or second round of that fight. I actually ran into Jeremiah Wells and talked to him for a couple minutes about that fight, and he did say that he broke his hand in the first or second round of that fight, and he did miss time after it because of the injury. Winded up also tearing his Achilles in the meantime. Very unfortunate for Jeremiah. We're a fan. Our Philly native, our brother. But Max Payne could not show a good performance in that fight against a one-armed opponent. Jeremiah would have been shooting for takedowns and probably landing them in that fight if his hand wasn't hurting. Before that, and it was a split decision, but before that, Max Payne Griffin also lost to Michael Morales. Not a horrible loss to have, but Michael Morales is a great fighter on the rise. We like him over on this channel as well. I do have to pick Max Griffin as much as it pains me to do. Michael Chiesa's one-trick pony, grappling or bust. His striking's horrendous. Chiesa doesn't need takedowns to make his grappling efficient, which I do like for Chiesa. He could just hop on your back by getting you against the cage. I believe Max Payne is far enough in his career to defend off those kind of attacks and ultimately win a striking battle here for a 3-round decision. I don't think he puts Chiesa out. I think this is a very low volume fight because of the threat of Chiesa's takedowns. But I do lean Max Griffin with low confidence. In this next fight, we have Chase Hooper versus Clay Guida. This is another very easy one to break down. Chase Hooper is 17 years younger. The UFC should have never put this fight together, but Clay Guida is a fiend to fight. He loves to fight. He'll just take any name they give. Knowing him, he has 50, 55 fights in his career. He probably thinks he has an experience edge over everybody, especially this young kid. But that's not the case here. He's going to get finished in the first or second round by Chase Hooper. Chase Hooper's somebody I've been watching since his UFC debut. I've seen the woes, I've seen the highs, and lately it's been nothing but highs. This kid's the real deal. Ever since he moved up to 155, or what's 145, whichever one he moved up to now, he's in 45 or 55. Wasn't doing good when he was at 35. I think that's what it was. But he moved up to 45 or 55 where he's at now. I believe it is 55 though. And ever since Chase Hooper put on more weight, more muscle, also believe he's Father Hooper now. Chase Hooper's the man out there. His weakness is his head movement in striking moments. But he has a chin on him, man. I've seen this guy take so much damage. I've seen him get finished before, but I've seen him take so much damage and fight back from it. He's super tough. He's probably the best guy on the ground in that division. If you drop him and get on top of him, you're in trouble. He'll sweep or submit you from the bottom. Any which way. Heel hooks, arm triangles. Chase Hooper's super freaky. Never want to go to the floor with him. But I believe Chase Hooper will probably go for a throw, some sort of takedown against Clay Guida and finish him in the first or second round with, I'm going to say arm triangle. I think he puts him on the phone here. And it's a very easy one to pick. 12-1 favorite, highest favorite on the card. In Chase Hooper, it's because of the age gap in this fight. Clay Guida better retire after this one. Hopefully he doesn't take too much damage, but there could be a Chase Hooper ground and pound as well. It's definitely not going the distance. And then the last fight of the card that I'll be breaking down is Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Lucas Brzeski. And in this one, I got to go Kennedy here. I don't like to. But the guy he's fighting, Lucas Bresky, is 1-4 in the UFC. His one win was over Walter Walker, who we think very low of on this channel. Kennedy's coming off a win just like a month ago or so over Chris Barnett. It was a very easy fight for him. Barnett took that fight on super short notice. But I like Kennedy here. Don't be surprised if it's a boring fight. No one gets real close to Kennedy because of the knees and elbows that he holds. His Muay Thai is very good. I don't see either of these guys going for takedowns. They're heavyweights. They don't waste their gas on that usually. But I believe he's about a 500 or 600 favorite here. I'm not going to break it down too much. Take Kennedy. Whether you want to take him by method of victory is up to you. I don't really have a confident call on that for this fight, but that's going to wrap it up for UFC 310. I hope everyone enjoyed the breakdown. We're really hot on UFC over here the past month and a half or so. I'm really confident in this card. I feel like the best picks on the card is Ciryl Gane, Movsar Evolev, Bryan battle, obviously, lock of the night. Best underdog for me is going to be Garry, especially plus 290. He's going to show it so quick. If you want to bet the live line in that fight after Garry wins the first round, that's up to you, but it could easily flip to an even money line at that point. I really think everyone should take a stab at Garry here. I don't think he gets finished by this guy. If anything, it's going to go the distance. I really like Garry, though, as a dog. Bryan battle one I'm in love with. About a 220 favorite. I don't think it's enough. I really don't. I've seen so much good in battles last fight, man. He knows who's getting hurt during the fight, and he doesn't get hurt. Besides being a fan of Bryan battle, I really became a fan after the win and the post-fight he had. It was epic. I believe he got in a little bit of trouble for it. But Chase Hooper, another one, the double chance, knockout or submission. That's probably going to be a bad line. Probably going to be about 400 or 500 if you take a knockout or submission. You're probably going to have to take knockout or submission to get a better line. If I had to guess, submission's still probably going to be a nice minus. The knockout will probably be a plus. But on my personal slip, I think I'll be taking Chase Hooper by submission. Josh Van, another fight I really like a lot. Probably by decision. His money line's good enough for me, though. Minus 220. Bryce Mitchell versus Kron Gracie. Weird one, but I think Bryce Mitchell by decision is going to get you a nice line. And that's about it. I'm excited for the card. Comment, like, subscribe, share with a friend. Anything's appreciated. We're super hot. We can discuss fights on here if you think you have a better read on a fight than me, or you think I didn't break a fight down enough in this breakdown video. I can try to explain a little more in the comments, but I appreciate y'all for watching. Until next time.